gmail.com.
We must wage what I have called total war against public enemy number one.
I support a change in law to end federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
That marijuana, pot, grass, whatever you want to call it, is probably the most dangerous drug.
Some think there won't be room for them in jail. We'll make room.
I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it and didn't inhale.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
Entirely legitimate topic for debate.
Radical Rant.
Welcome back, everyone. 46 after the hour, and not so much ranting today as chatting with Doug Fine, who's here in the studio. Welcome back, Doug.
Great to be with you, Russ.
Oh, I got to turn your mic on. Now, welcome back, Doug.
Still freaking fantastic to be with you.
Still great to be here. Hey, we got some questions from our chat room that I wanted to bring up for you. The first one was about your hat. Is the hat made of hemp?
The band on the hat is made of hemp. Probably a good deal of my skin and my body structure is made of hemp. We put at least 2 tablespoons of hemp seed oil into our morning shake. These hemp hearts here, I like to throw in the yogurt. Sorry for eating in the studio, Russ.
No problem.
I just did a piece folks can find online called Vitamin Hemp about what the real nutritive truth is about this. You know, one of the hardest parts, we've talked about this on earlier Hump Day, Hemp Day segments, Russ, is that the hardest part about reporting on hemp is that your roommate with the lava lamp was right or didn't go far enough in the truth about hemp and how good it is and how valuable it is. So on the nutritive side, this piece I did was quoting researchers whose talks I had seen at the Canadian Hemp Trade Alliance and elsewhere. Just bottom line, real nutritive studies and the omega balance profile on hemp, the type of amino acid building blocks that hemp has, the type of protein, the mineral content, the magnesium, the selenium. I'm pretty much made out of, as are my kids, human and goat. We're made out of this stuff at this point on the Funky Butte Ranch because it is that good for you.
Fantastic. And another question, and this is an interesting one. I hadn't thought about this before. Vendikar wanted to know, is there a ridiculous number of hemp strains as there are psychoactive strains?
Not as many. On the hemp side, if you want to sound really professional and in the know, strains are called cultivars. If you want to just have the equivalent of a gender-neutral term, you can say variety of cannabis for any, whether a strain or a cultivar. But when we are talking about what we today define as industrial hemp or agricultural hemp, we call them cultivars. And there are a number of approving agencies around the world. I would say at this moment, I think there are in the neighborhood of 24 or so officially approved cultivars. And it's a good question and an important question for a number of reasons. I'll sum up one of the main important reasons it's an important question, and that is, as we rebuild the tragically lost, once world-leading hemp germplasm here in the States, which was once taxpayer-funded by the USDA, and we were far and away the producer of the world's finest hemp. As we rebuild, do we use Darwin's cultivar, the wild ditchweed that remains in the Wisconsins and the Nebraskas?
You can still find plenty of that, yeah.
Or do we play by the rules of modern agriculture, which is about uniformity and documentable quality control and all those issues? And I believe it's a balance of the two, because we Americans are going to figure out cool apps. For instance, right now, hemp can be a great biofuel in Hempbound. There's an incident where I drive around in a hemp-powered limo once owned by the Philippine dictator Ferdinand Marcos. Thank you, Bill Althaus, my good friend and hemp researcher and engineer. It works, but we don't have cultivars yet designed specifically for fuel that are oil cultivars. So some smart bunch of farmers is going to get that going.
Right.
And a million other hemp apps we can talk about. Sure. And that's going to be about being smart and crossbreeding in the Gregor Mender natural way, the way that Americans, as Michael Pollan calls psychoactive cannabis farmers, the best gardeners of his generation. Yeah. They developed, thank God, what humanity wanted in terms of psychoactive cannabis. So we're going to see that very quickly.
So we're going to have an oil hemp, we're going to have a seed hemp, we're going to have a stalk hemp, and so on.
Flower hemp for nutraceuticals,
sure.
Fiber for textiles, fiber for industrial components, fiber for construction.
And then you've spoken with us before on the show about triple cropping, you say?
Tri-cropping, yep.
Tri-cropping.
Yep.
And there would be probably varietals or cultivars that would work better for that purpose as well.
Yeah, in other words, hybrids, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So the equivalent on the psychoactive side of
a hybrid,
of a hybrid, right? So that's the second way that I really hope to help Oregon farmers this year. The first way is helping them get to seed so they can get the stuff in the ground. Then what about on the harvest? What do you do then? There's a lot of things you can do. The price out of the ground for seed, basically seed applications, is for Canadian farmers right now $350 profit. That's profit per acre. A great year for soy predicted South Dakota State this year, $71 profit in a great year for South Dakota farmers. So we're talking about 4 or 5 times the profit level right out of the ground for something that doesn't require pesticides and herbicides. So it's profitable and worth it there. And that's why we're seeing legalization, is because it's the economy stupid kind of thing. Like farmers are not dumb. They're businessmen and businesswomen. But once you control the processing vertically in your farming community, you're increasing your value 100-fold, if not more. So in other words, if Oregonian farmers process a certain amount, 1,000 acres in an eastern Colorado, once struggling, now thriving farming community, and sell it immediately to a big Canadian processor, that's going to be good money for the community. But if they have a facility in their community that allows them to bottle it and call it Oregon-grown salad dressing, toothpaste component, whatever it is. I use a hemp toothpaste from Slovenia with clay and mint and hemp in it. Then they're really making bank. And so tri-cropping is everything that a farming community needs to do that value added. It's called the 3 legs of the tri-cropping are: 1, everything you can do with the seed oil, the grain, and flour. So nutraceuticals, food, industrial oils. There's Hemp Shield, a company based here in Oregon that does a great wood finish and decking coating. The second leg is anything you can do with fiber. I'm really excited about next generation batteries and supercapacitors. I've done some reporting on that as well. If folks want to Google hemp is coming to your car battery, I'm really excited about that. And then the third is waste biomass for energy. Power your own facility, at least if not your whole community, as some towns in Germany are doing, through the waste biomass. So that's the 3 legs of tri-cropping, plus providing the facility and the harvesting equipment and the storage equipment that farmers need. That's what I want to help do by the time of the harvest, is have these facilities around the state where people are cultivating hemp. So when they harvest it, Oregon farmers and wherever you place these, the local community farmers are going to be able to profit.
And this is going to be amazing for not just the rural farm communities that have suffered in Oregon, but also a lot of people whose jobs were caught up in the timber industry that suffered as well. And I think a lot of the skill set that would be involved with timber could transfer to working with hemp in some way.
No question about it. I think it's a forestry issue. It's about rebuilding soil and providing jobs. In the end, we are a nation that had 30% population farming when cannabis prohibition started in 1937, and we're down to 1% of farmers now. And the reason is they can't make a living at it. And I get emails all the time from people that aren't even among the 20 and growing hemp states that are in accordance with federal law right now, saying we gave up our 40 or 400 or 4,000 acre Missouri or North Dakota or whatever farm 20 years ago because we didn't want to be part of this chemical corn GMO cycle, and that cycle wasn't making us any money, wasn't good for the land, wasn't healthy for us. So screw it, we became software designers and wherever. But wait a second, are farmers really making $350 clear per acre in Canada on this thing? Because if we can grow hemp and do it right, we want to come back and do it.
Wow, absolutely. We got a call coming in on the phone line, 970 area code. What's your question for Doug Fine?
Hi there, enjoying the show today. How's it going?
Fantastic, thanks.
Great. I had some connections with a quarry, and I'm hoping the guest could talk about hempcrete or hemp and lime specifically, and the directions it's headed, and maybe who's leading the way and that type of thing. And I'll take the call off the air. Thanks.
Thank you for the question. Hempcrete, we've covered that a couple of times on the show. Pretty amazing stuff. How strong? I mean, where's it going?
I'm really glad that we had this call because it's sort of, you heard it here first on the Russ Belville show. In Hempbound, following a lot of research, including on-site at hempcrete construction sites, hempcrete studies at universities, I really posited from a lot of sources that a likely first killer app on the fiber side for the U.S. market would be hempcrete. Hemp mixed with some sort of sustainable local binder, locally provided binder like a lime. There are others. for construction, and we can talk about how those could be used. But the reason why it looked to be so promising, besides the fact that the hemp apps that win because they outperform in the marketplace. I mean, it works. Better insulation quality, better R value, as they say, than, you know, the sort of semi-toxic or really toxic drywall, fiberglass, you know, era that we've been living in the box store era. So the reason why it looked to be the first killer app is the Canadians, the North American market, the Canadians do almost nothing with the fiber. So we have a steep learning curve to learn when it comes to any fiber application installed. When you talk about textiles, that's a high-skilled thing. Nanotechnology stuff, car parts, you know, potentially has a learning curve. But the second element in the hemp fiber, the hurd, the woody core, is a little bit less of a rocket science, so that you do have to produce it well for it to be a good construction app. But it's easier, and there's a lot of it, and you can just harvest the crop, chop it up, not worry about being delicate as you do with the long bast fiber and the high-end specialty applications. Bag it up, and there is your construction material. So it looked like, and it so outperforms on energy and insulation qualities that Marks and Spencer department store in Britain has built a block-long flagship store out of it because they want to save money on their energy costs. Sure. They want to pay lower energy bills on a vast store that they've got to keep warm in Britain through the winter. Yeah. You know, and it's working out great. They're very happy about it, and so it's working out great. So done right, hempcrete can be fantastic. The other thing that's really good about and carbon sequestration, you don't have to do the high heat associated with construction. It's something like 10% of greenhouse gases are emitted from the construction industry these days. Yeah, maybe 5%, some huge amount. It's quoted in Hemp. So there also is this nice element of it's a hands-on, relatively easy way to build. I mean, you can spray it from a sprayer, stack it on with hands, do it in a more kind of industrial way where you're tamping down large amounts. You talk to the folks, and I've talked to the folks, and the book records it, who are building with the stuff, and everybody's happy with how nice and easy it is on the high quality, nice looking homes, high-end type homes. And the only thing that is slowing down, of course, it's prohibition. The rush to have hemp-based construction is the fact that it's expensive to import anything. So that would include hurd as well. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of roadblocks in front of what today we're calling hempcrete, and one of them is regulatory issues. Building codes are pretty strict. Today you have to do this sort of song and dance to even be allowed to build with it. You got to just call it fill in most places instead of, you know, insulating, let alone load bearing. It can play great roles in soundproofing. There's a lot of great applications that hemp-based building material can be, but there's other issues. Lime is not always sustainable in every ecosystem. Mm-hmm. As far as the binder goes, again, there are alternatives. Plus, if you vary the mix, how much hurd you put in, how much lime, it could impact quality. So there's a long learning curve. There's a lot of other great things that you could potentially do. Like there's a fellow and traditional building techniques. Hemp adobe type stuff is something that I think it should be a big thing in the future. And I want to point out something that was brought up to me the other day, which is a potential application of 3D printing biomaterials like hemp for houses in the future. That's neat, and I think that it's something with all of the sort of things that we might generally keep under the topic of nano, digital age, 3D printing kind of wonderful applications. That's fine. But I think one of the big lessons of the 21st century is finding a balance between the blind belief that technology and science is going to solve everything, versus the fact that with all these billions of people, many of them urban, not everybody is going to have the time to slap together their own house. So there's a balance there, but I just want to throw out there, if you've got a sophisticated 3D printer, is a village in Bangladesh or Mali going to be able to afford it? And if so, if the Gates Foundation pops it in there, who's fixing it? When it breaks or when the software upgrade happens, which is not to say, Gus, I'm sure there are many more technical savvy people in Mali and Bangladesh than I, but it has to do with income, it has to do with lifestyle.
Sorry to cut you off, Doug. That's all the time we got, but we'll stay tuned for hour 2. We'll come back and finish this thought. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.